Coming up on the channel today, this is a viewer suggested video from artists who, no matter how legendary they are, had albums that just stopped them in their tracks and their momentum was killed. So coming up, I've got 5 albums that killed an artist's momentum coming right up. We always look into the comments on these channels, so if you get a chance to, please make sure you drop a like on the video and get into the comments below, because things like this video here happen because of the comment section. Every time someone says, hey, you should do a video on, we try our best to work it in, and that's what this one was today. We had a viewer of the channel say, hey, you should do a video about 5 albums that totally killed a band's momentum, and I'm going to include at least one that the viewer suggested, and then I've got some others of mine. First of all, I want to say that a lot of these artists and albums, the albums themselves have fans where people, you know, I'm not saying these are bad albums. It's just one thing led to another. And the momentum that the artist had at the time was killed. And for many of the artists, they definitely bounced back and still today are seen with legendary status. So I want to get that out of the way before I go into the list. The first one that came to mind for me when this was suggested was Pop by U2. Because this is a band who was enormous in the 80s and kept on that uphill climb. Then they took a huge chance on Achtung Baby, and it paid off. And Zooropa wasn't as successfully commercial as Achtung Baby was, but I feel like by the time they got to Pop, it just completely killed the momentum that they had going from the Joshua Tree and then skyrocketed after Achtung Baby. So Pop just came out and kind of was DOA and really killed the momentum that U2 had at the time. The next one is kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. I feel like this is always going to come up on a list like this, but it's true. Metallica, with it, you know, everything they did in the 80s, again, as controversial as the Black Album was, and as divisive as Load and Reload were, Saint Anger is the thing that just absolutely killed whatever momentum they had going. It seemed like the one thing that Metallica fans could agree on. If you were an old Metallica fan, like if you liked Justice and Before, or if you were a new Metallica fan and you liked the Black Album and Before, it seemed like everybody agreed that no one liked Saint Anger, and it absolutely killed the momentum that they had going at the time. The next one on the list is actually one that the viewer of the channel suggested, along with a few others, and that is Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms, which we can all agree is an enormous commercial success, but it absolutely killed all of the momentum that was building for Dire Straits. It was almost like, to use a term from REM, like an automatic for the people situation. Like, everyone who bought Brothers in Arms expected everything going forward by Dire Straits to be a facsimile of Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, or even So Far Away. And I feel like because they didn't put out an exact copy of Money for Nothing, from that moment on, that it just killed the momentum that they had. And it's crazy because it was such a huge commercial success. Then the next one after that is another pick for me. And this one's weird because the album after it is my personal favorite album by this band. But Pearl Jam, in their 4th effort, No Code, again, monster debut with 10, huge success with verses. At the time, their 3rd album, Vitalogy, was the largest selling vinyl record in forever, like way before even the quote-unquote vinyl resurgence happened. And then No Code came out and just completely killed their uphill trajectory. I love the first single off of that record, Who You Are, but I think that had something to do with it. It's completely different than everything else on the record, and it's certainly different than what people had, the mainstream had known of Pearl Jam at the time. And again, the album after it, Yield, is my personal favorite Pearl Jam record, but No Code absolutely killed their momentum at the time. This last one, this band rarely gets thrown into any sort of discussion regarding lack of commercial success, but Van Halen 3, just wrong place, wrong time for everybody involved. This is a band who famously survived a thing almost no band survives, which is changing lead singers. And not only that, but skyrocketed into a new stratosphere of success that they hadn't even seen prior to their second lead singer joining, and then gets an amazing talent in Gary Cherone to join the band. And, if you're watching this channel, you probably know a lot about the history of inner workings of bands and whatnot. And it was literally just the wrong place at the wrong time when that record was created, and all the way across the board, it killed any momentum that Van Halen had going into the mid to late 90s, and we wouldn't hear another studio record from them for like another 15 years after Van Halen 3. So once again, I really appreciate any viewer suggestions for videos. We've had some in the comments even after this suggestion came in. We're absolutely going to get to them. Cannot wait to share more of those with you. But for this video, what are some of your albums that you think absolutely killed momentum for a career? Definitely leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you and discuss it with you. And as we always say in all these videos, thank you so much for watching.